Hi, in this video I'd like to show you configuring replication with the CDC for DataStage engine. This engine can be used to deliver data to DataStage for further processing, or additionally to just generate a series of files to be processed by some other technology, or even delivering those files directly into your Hadoop HDFS file system. So let's create a new subscription. I'm going from my DB2 database to my CDC for DataStage engine. I'm going to map some tables just like I would for any other subscription. And I'm going to start using flatfiles. We'll go back to Direct Connect later. So flatfiles is delivering a series of files that can be processed by DataStage or other technology. So I'll pick a couple of tables here and the directory. This should be a directory that's available both to CDC for writing the files and whatever consuming application, DataStage or any other. Single record and multiple record indicates whether or not an update should be recorded as a single row in the file with both a before and after image, or as two rows, essentially a row as if there was a delete and a row as if there was an insert. And that choice is around what processing you're going to do later on. In general, multiple records is probably going to allow your processing to be simpler, but you need to think about how you're going to consume the file. And it doesn't really matter what I choose here. I'll choose multiple for the heck of it. Hit finish. And there you go. If I look at the details of one of these, I can still do the normal source side stuff I want to around filtering columns, mapping columns, indicating the encoding for any of the source columns, no differently than any other source configuration. Target side, I really just indicate where the file should go. So again, here I could make these same choices I made in the wizard. If I wanted to write to HDFS, in fact, in the wizard, or I can just edit it here, I can say, oh, actually, the directory I want to write it to is just an HDFS directory. And now that file would be written to that directory, available directly in HDFS. There's a couple of new options here as well. So I can look at the DataStage properties. So there's some special properties here around grouping your changes into units of work. Often in DataStage, you'll want to do larger units of work when you're interacting with the ultimate destination. So here you can set the thresholds for the larger units of work. CDC will always obey source transaction boundaries. So this sets a threshold at which at the next opportunity, CDC will finish a unit of work, but will never send a partial transaction. And we have other examples from our customers have asked to, example, include a record count in the file name because that made it easier for their downstream processing. The other option you had there was to generate a job definition file, a DSX file. That's the export-import format for the DataStage Designer tool. And so we can generate a DSX here from the management console that you can then import into your DataStage Designer. And what that gives you is a pre-configured initial stage for your job. So in this case, with files, it would be a sequential file reader. It's pre-configured. It understands the format of the file that CDC will generate. It understands the data that will be there, so your output links are already configured. It's just a good starting point that you can then bring in your own business logic. I won't bother doing that here. So let me show you Direct Connect as well. I will be consistent in my naming pattern. I'm going to do Direct Connect. It's going to look the same. Let it chug along, do its work. You can see that you can tell in this mapping type is no longer flat file, it's Direct Connect. If I click on one of those, you'll see here again you're not specifying a directory because the data's never landed in a file. But there are some new options here on this Properties tab around specifying the information around the DataStage job. So Direct Connect allows you to use the CDC transaction stage, which is available in DataStage. So if you've got a job, you create a job that uses the CDC transaction stage as its input, then you can specify the project and job name here, the connection key, which is security information, and then have that DataStage job controlled from CDC. So operationally, as you start and stop the subscription, it can start and stop the DataStage job alongside it, so that you can do everything operationally from one side. You have the option of managing the two operationally separately as well. So you would start the subscription and then you would start the DataStage job, and as long as you do that relatively quickly, within a few minutes, nothing will time out. They'll understand they're both up and running, and the data will flow. So that's it. Thanks for listening.